in preseason, and let's see if he could actually even build up his value more. I was very disappointed at the Jets getting a third-round pick for Teddy Bridgewater. I thought they could have gotten a lot more for him. And I also was disappointed the Giants didn't give the Jets the third-round pick because I thought Teddy Bridgewater could have been the quarterback of the future for a now very old-looking Eli Manning. But I also said that was the way to not throw Sam Darnold into the fire and to say, all right, look, let's allow him to grow, but at the same time, it's not all on his shoulders. Now, that being said, I'm looking. I don't see Sanchez in Darnold at all, even though they're both USC quarterbacks. I think Darnold's got a lot more talent than Sanchez. Sanchez to me. I always said
better attitude on.
Well, but I always said this about Sanchez. Before the game starts, he has 2 interceptions. And I know that Darnold had 2 interceptions yesterday, but I don't see that being a regular thing with him. And I think that Darnold takes coaching so much better than Sanchez ever did or ever will. Because Sanchez after every game he'd make mistakes, and like I said, he'd throw at least 2 picks, and he said, "Well, I got to learn from that. I got to be better." But he said it every week. It's like it got to the point where you want to say, "Hey, guy, when are you going to actually learn? You keep saying I got to learn from this. When's it going to happen?" And by the time it happened, he's on his 3rd team or 4th team now. So that's the astounding part to me is the guy is still in the league, but this. I see so much more in as far as decision making, as far as arm, as far as just smarts in general with Darnold than I ever saw with Sanchez.
Well, I also think, Mike, that one thing about Sanchez, I like Sanchez when he was playing well. I thought he was very good. I think one thing he had though is that. It was when you come in and you're the position still after 50 years is still Joe Namath's position for the most part. You had a good.
It is.
No one has ever eclipsed him. Yeah,
but it's sad as far as the franchise.
You had one good year with Vinny Testaverde, and Richard Todd had a couple of good seasons.
Pennington had a few good years,
and Chad Pennington had a good year.
But that's it.
But you know what? The shadow of Joe Namath still is with the New York Jets at the quarterback position, and I think Sanchez came in a little bit like, well, I'm going to be the next Joe Namath, and never earned that position.
Sure. The shirts were flying off the stores. They were marketing him, and that was a big bust. I just hope they don't do that with Darnold. After the Detroit game, everybody was buying
those shirts. I'm sure were very popular.
They had those shirts before that.
But now people go out and buy them.
Premature.
People say, "Oh, I'm going to get my Darnold shirt." So I agree.
The kid is young though. He's got a lot to learn. He knows he has a lot to learn. That to me is one of the big differences between them.
But at the expense of the fan, it's as if the organization's saying, "Not this year."
They are. But that's what happens. That's what happens when you take a quarterback in the first round, though. That's what happens. You're telling your fans, "Hey, we're in the process of maybe not rebuilding necessarily, but we're looking at this season as, hey, you know what? We're probably not going to the playoffs this year, and let's deal with that, and let's let our quarterback get to the point where he's going to be the guy for the next decade, and then we'll give you something to look forward to." But that being said, this being the current NFL, Sam Darnold's contract is only friendly for so long. So the Jets do need to really, especially in this coming offseason, they need to accelerate the process because Sam Darnold, I'm not even sure what his rookie deal is, but obviously he's not making $20-something million and putting that kind of cap hit on the Jets. So they only have that luxury for, I think it's 4 years, and then Sam Darnold's going to be getting, a 5-year or $120-something million deal like every other decent quarterback in the NFL, assuming he progresses to that point. If he doesn't, then the Jets are back to square one.
That also sounds like our other sport, baseball, with the Mets and their pitchers maturing, and before they reach their peak and get anywhere, they'll all be gone to free agency. Well, by the time they put a team behind them.
Pretty much.
That's what happened this year. Look at it again yesterday. DeGrom, just speaking, changing
DeGrom,
the topic.
Yes.
He didn't get another decision. Mind you, the Red Sox won last night or yesterday, but still.
What did DeGrom do? 7 innings or 8 innings yesterday? I don't remember.
One bad pitch, and they can't even come back for him.
Yep, that's just it's sad.
Very sad.
Mike, I agree with you to a certain extent. When the Giants brought in Eli, they didn't start him the first game. They had Kurt Warner.
He went half a season.
Yeah, they waited a half a season before making him
I say, Brady didn't take the ball right out of college.
No, he didn't.
That he watched, and
but he also
Brady was a sixth rounder.
Developed by watching.
I said before. I said that before. I thought it would have been a better move to have somebody to let Darnold learn a little bit more on the sideline, to let him work with the team in practice, and then to take over at some point, whether it's game 6, 7, 8, whatever. But let him take over somewhere around mid-season. But that again, if the Jets would have wound up going, say, 5-3 in their first 8 games, then what? Do you put Darnold in after your team is going? Actually is looking like they might have a shot at a playoff berth. Then winning becomes an issue if the team is doing well. Because how do you break that formula up if McCown is leading the team to wins? And like I said, if you have a shot at a playoff spot, you have to go with that. So it could work in your disfavor, but chances are with the Jets and how things typically go with the Jets, Darnold would have been in there around week 8.
But I'm sort of with you again, Mike, on the fact I liked McCown. I thought last year was a pretty damn good year for him, and he proved something. I could have seen that he maybe could have continued that.
I think we're going to see him too somewhere during this season. I have a feeling.
Well, if Darnold doesn't get touchdowns, yeah, you might.
I think Darnold, once they named him the starter, that was that, and the only way he's going to lose a starting job is if he has a couple of really disastrous games in a row,
right?
Or if he gets hurt.
Hits.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, my philosophy is we crawl before we walk, and we walk before we run.
Exactly.
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I'm going to get back on the radio to listen to you.
Thanks a lot, Mike. We appreciate it.
We're looking forward to next week for the next recap.
Thanks, man. Good talking with you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care.
Rob.
Good
Bye,
stuff.
Tim.
That's Mike from Massapequa. 516-572-7440. You have a comment or question about football, baseball, whatever. You've got From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC. We'll be back right after this.
Okay. Go.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
And have you ever thought about where you want your wedding reception to be? Somewhere magical. Disney World. Exactly. There you go. So you'll never believe.
I'm not getting married next to Goofy. Are you out of your mind?
What?
No, Minnie. Does anyone have a reason why these two should not be wed? Gorsh.
Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
A Super Bowl champion, U.S. Congressman, publisher of Long Island Business News, award-winning authors, physical fitness, life coach, and celebrities like Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy? I had no idea so many awesome people got their start at Nassau Community College.
Well, they're always saying that NCC is where success stories begin. With people like that as graduates, it must be true.
Hello, I'm Dr. Linda Nadian.
And I'm Aurora Workman, the president of Nassau Community College Alumni Association.
Together, we're the hosts of Lion Tales, a show that highlights proud graduates of Nassau Community College. Join us each week when distinguished alumni stop by to share stories, laugh a little, and remind us what things were like when they were students at Nassau Community College.
My fabulous friend Linda and I will also share the latest alumni news and updates, so tune in Tuesdays at 4 p.m. to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, or listen online with the iHeartRadio app.
All hit music. For all those songs radio has forgotten about, join me, Big Ed, Mondays from 10 a.m. till noon for The Good Gold Show. We'll bring back all the great hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and more. The sounds of doo-wop to disco, all the Motown, soul, and great rock and roll. We'll even take your requests and dedications to The Good Gold Show.
Music.
On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. From the Press Box is on your listening device or on your radio. 516-572-7440. From the Press Box is part of the WHPC Sports Talk family. I'm Rob Leonard. Of course, joining me is award-winning sports writer and, yes, my brother, Tim Leonard.
How you doing?
516-572-7440. Brother, we talked about the Jets. Let us talk about a game. Do the Giants have a front line? I mean,
in theory, yes.
In theory, yeah.
In reality, maybe
how
not.
Many interceptions did Eli throw yesterday? Like 6.
No.
Wasn't that many? 18?
No.
47?
No.
No? Okay.
He didn't throw 47 passes.
I know. But the Giants, maybe they should have kept Davis Webb. That's all I'm going to say.
No.
Because
Davis Webb could wind up being the starter for the Jets. We had this conversation. A quick little aside. Davis Webb and Baker Mayfield were teammates at Texas Tech, I believe it was. And that's where Patrick Mahomes, who is now the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, he also was there at the same time. So
Right.
3 future NFL quarterbacks on the roster together. Baker Mayfield wound up leaving. Davis Webb wound up leaving and transferred. So the Jets play the Cleveland Browns on Thursday. And in theory, Davis Webb could face Baker Mayfield. But if that happens, that means really bad stuff has happened for both teams because Tyrod Taylor is right now the Browns' starting quarterback and Baker Mayfield is the backup.
Right.
And Davis Webb, as we all know, is the third quarterback for the Jets. So that would mean that Sam Darnold and Josh McCown would have to get hurt for Davis Webb to actually get on the field.
that's true.
So we don't want that to happen.
No.
But so little aside. But yes, as far as the Giants go, it's so difficult and frustrating because the Giants this year, and I said this months ago. The Giants should have looked at this season as a rebuilding season,
and they didn't because
they thought
they had something.
That their 3-13 record from last season was a product of injuries, and that they could win now, and all it would take would be a couple of free agents, patch up the offensive line, and get a home run hitter like Saquon Barkley in the draft. And all you have to do is watch Saquon Barkley for a half.
Right.
And you can tell this kid is special.
Right.
It's not hard.
And he was the right guy to pick.
No. That's kind of where I was going with this.
You don't
he
think so?
wasn't the right guy for the Giants to pick.
Why not?
Because when your quarterback is 37 years old and you clearly are looking at a team that needs to start planning for the future, you take the best quarterback available. And as painful as it would be to pass on Saquon Barkley, either if you want Saquon Barkley that bad, then you figure out a way to trade up.
But then if you
and
do
you
that,
give away next year's first round
But
pick.
then if you do that, then you're thinking that Eli's over.
He is.
Well, then you should have got rid of him. And they didn't. This is almost like his older brother Peyton, the way they got rid of him.
And that's the problem. Eli right now is at best a pretty good NFL quarterback. And the problem that he is having is he's on old legs. His offensive line isn't very good.
Horrible. No, they're not very good. They're horrible.
They're a little bit still of a work in progress, but they're not good.
No.
And that is a very bad combination because Eli can't scramble. He can't help his line out.
Never was a scrambler.
I know, but he can't help his line out by extending plays, by avoiding the rush. Once the rush gets past the line, Eli basically goes into the fetal position and is tackled, and he basically is trying not to get hurt or not to fumble.
Yep.
But that happened yesterday. He did fumble yesterday. So for the Giants to ignore what was staring them in the face and pretend like they could be a contender this year.
But you know what? Part of the reason
irresponsible might be a good word.
But part of the reason they kept Eli around is because the front line last year was so bad.
They were awful. They were one of the worst lines in the league.
Right. So if you think you have the worst line, you